tolerance, and knowledge, to challenge injustice, and to nurture and serve one another and the wider community. This morning, our service leader is Reverend Mark Christian. We have musicians, Donald Brown and Mark Christian. We also have a special story from Naomi Koch that she's written. And this morning we'll change our order a little bit. Mary Kate Couch will be presenting the church minute. We'll do that before announcements.
Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I have to go somewhere. So real quickly, so in August, myself and Greg are going to be leading a listening circle. I first did one of these when I was in Marietta, Georgia. The format is wholly democratic. There's no way anybody can monopolize or anything like that. So it's all about listening, no interrupting, no fighting, right? All right. So it's starting in August. And if you're interested, just please get in touch with me. Thanks.
Listening circles. What a novel idea. I like it. Thank you to Mike Smolin for lending his time, energy, and masking skills to the Building and Grounds Committee as progress marches on, or in Mike's case, crawled along as he applied masking tape to the new baseboards downstairs. And it was as much fun for him as it was for everyone else.
He's still vertical.
Yeah, still moving. The 2 rooms downstairs have been painted. The flooring has gone from what I suspect is the oldest flooring in the building. And to say it was tiles would be partially accurate, but now that's all gone and it's been replaced by carpet squares. The walls and ceiling have been painted, and these are images of the piano room downstairs. This is the room that's directly behind the piano room. And for somebody who's down there all the time, I cannot tell you how radical the change is. It is so lovely. Thank you to everybody involved. We have John and Lynn Little to thank, Donna and Terry Sinnis, Mike Smolin, and probably other people that I didn't notice because I didn't happen to be in the building when they were working. But to all of them, let's give them a big round of applause. The book discussion group will meet Friday, May 29th, I think is right, at 7 p.m. in the forum room to discuss The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb. Video calling is available for those who can't attend in person, and for more information, contact Susan Bullard. Hello, Tinker. Next Sunday's sermon will be provided by Reverend Susan Ross. Her sermon title will be, They Too Go Marching. As she mentioned in the May newsletter, so tiny, so insignificant, so in our way. Can we be in relationship? The Storytellers group normally meets on the 4th Sunday of the month, which is today, but this month they'll meet on the 5th Sunday, May 31st, after social time. If you have an announcement, please come up and use the microphone.
Hi, I'm Lynn Fiesel, and this Wednesday, the Good Trouble still is having their regular meeting, and they were going to have it here because Modella was not available, but Modella became available. So, Modella is going to host Meredith Woodruff. If you guys have never heard Meredith, she is amazing. She was, well, I'll just read it. Retired CIA operations officer who rose to become the agency's most senior woman in operations, living and working behind the Iron Curtain. She has a unique perspective on living in countries under authoritarian rule. She's amazing. What a great speaker. So this is going to be Wednesday night at Modella at 5:30, the Good Trouble Stillwater meeting, and it's going to be packed, I bet. So just everybody come early.
Are you going to announce or? No, not quite.
This is just a refresher on the cookout tomorrow at our house. So if anybody has missed the announcement, see me, and I'll get you on the list. But come anyway if you, even if you haven't RSVP'd.
What's the address?
Excuse me?
What's your address?
Tell everybody? 3409 South Washington. 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Bring a dish. Or not. Just bring yourself.
Thank you. These are songs I guarantee are cleared for copyright. Because I wrote them.
Well, the west wind is a fair wind. North wind blows a cold. South wind brings the summer. East wind bears the stones. And I'm hitching a ride with the wind. Can't say as I'll ever be this way again, and I'm hitching a ride with the wind. May never be this way again. Well, the wind is brightening up, close to 30 knots. I'd like to keep on sailing, but I'd probably just get lost. The winds would fill the sails, and the sails would toss the boat. I've got a long, long way to go, and I'm hitching a ride with the wind. Can't say as I'll ever be this way again, and I'm hitching a ride with the wind. May never be this way again. And the west wind is a fair wind. North wind blows the cold. East wind brings the summer. East wind bears the stones. And I'm hitching a ride with the wind. Can't say as I'll ever be this way again. And I'm hitching a ride with the wind. What a long, long way it's been. Where the wind is twisting now round the compass rose, I'm gonna keep on sailing, heaven knows where I'll go. 'Cause the wind will fill the sails will pull the boat. I've got a long, long way to go, and I'm itching to ride with the wind. Can't say as I'll ever be this way again, and I'm itching to ride with the wind. May never be this way again. What a long, long way it's been. May never be this way again.
I invite you now to settle yourself, to sit a little more comfortably, breathe a little smoother, take in the moment. And as we join in some time for silent prayer or meditation, I invite you to think on what makes our time here together sacred, what makes our time together here holy, what makes this place so very special for us. This day is a gift of love, a gift from God, a gift from life itself. Come, let us worship together, for this is the day we've been given to live in, to love in, and in time to die in. Let us rejoice in our capacity to think, feel, hear, and understand. And let us rejoice in the promise and the possibility of this day. Let there be light to drive away the darkness. Let there be wisdom to shine on the unknown. Let there be love to heal our aloneness. Let each of us be a light for one another.
Our opening hymn is number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Good morning. My name is Naomi Kak, and I've been here before. And what a wonderful morning this is. So much fun. You start the day with lovely music from Mark, and now you just relax and listen to a story. My heritage is from India, and it's the ancient tradition where stories were told and stories were listened to. We didn't have television. We didn't have the, our tablets and our phones and all of that. So people just gathered around and listened to stories. You've heard me talk about my grandchildren, Leela and Vivas, ages 7 and 5.5, and they live in Miami, Florida. And they call me Nani, which is maternal grandmother in Hindi. And they love stories. And one of their favorite stories is the story about Hanuman. And I thought it's a fun story because I didn't know how many children we would have here or adults, but we all have the child in us, and we all enjoy stories, regardless of our age. So I'm going to tell you about Hanuman, and it's Hanuman. And it's a very interesting story. Now, I don't know whether I should read this to you or whether I should just tell it. So, just tell it? Okay. Because there are no pictures in this. This is Hanuman, the monkey god. And he is he's a very important, I should say character, but I kind of say it with reserve because so many of his qualities are worshipped and admired and emulated. And it's a great story about this little monkey who was just so mischievous. And this story of Hanuman has layers to it. So pick whatever you want from it. I don't need to tell you, this is the layer you should be looking at. And I think that's the beauty of stories that linger on and get passed on in the oral tradition, which is how stories were told in India. And I'm trying to continue that tradition by telling stories to my grandchildren. So it so happened that the gods in heaven were all really busy doing what gods do in heaven, and or the celestial beings, as we call them. And there was a lot of unrest, and there was some order that needed to be established. And whenever order needs to be established, there is a conference that happens. What should we do? How should we resolve this conflict that's going on planet Earth, down there? And what was going on was that there were the rishis, or the people, the sages who meditated, and their meditation was being disturbed by other forces that don't believe in meditation and believe in just creating chaos. So there was a plea to the gods, please help us. We really don't know what to do. So they said, okay, we'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. Just carry on doing whatever you're doing. Now, Hanuman's parents are very interesting. So he is the son of Vayu, the wind god, and his mother, Anjana, was a goddess, but then she became a monkey goddess. So that's kind of interesting how these levels shift from God to becoming an animal, because at that time, animals talked to each other, communicated with humans, and some were given boons, and some, if the gods were displeased with you, you were given a kind of time out, And so this Hanuman, the little baby monkey with these wonderful parents, loved oranges, and his mother gave him an orange, really nice, bright navel orange. You can imagine the size of that. And he loved food, and he loved fruit, and he thought, Mother, only one? What about other? And she said, no, that's it, portion control, only one. So then he was just sitting thinking, I want to eat more oranges. And he looked up at the sky, and there was this bright, bright sun shining in the sky. And he thought, ooh, that's an orange. I can get that orange. Let me fly up and get that orange. So he had he was the son of Vayu, the wind god, so obviously he had the right genetic material to fly. So he just took off and he tried to pluck the sun. Oh, said the sun god, you're not doing that, you cheeky monkey. Who do you think you are? And he said, but I flew up here thinking this was the orange. And they said, no. Indra, the king of the gods, he was like, I can't have chaos like this, these little monkeys flying up and, disturbing my celestial planet here. So he threw his thunderbolt, and it struck Hanuman on his chin and created a mark on his chin, or a cleft. So those of you gentlemen who have clefts in your chin, could have been the thunderbolt from Indra. So that upset, Hanuman, the little baby, started crying. Now, he was not really a baby, but you know what I mean, kid Hanuman. And his father, Vayu, was extremely upset. He said, okay, that's it. Let's go, boy. And he took the boy with him, who was bleeding and crying, and took him to a little cave, and he was sitting there. Now, what happened was, he said, I'm not going back to Earth. Now, without the wind and oxygen and air, you can imagine what started happening on Earth. It was just like, no, people are going to die. Where is Vayu? Where is the wind god? Oh, the wind god is very upset, because his son got hurt. So, Indra, we don't care. You have to go and apologize to him. So Indra, along with the other gods, goes and apologizes to Vayu and says, please, I beg you, I implore you, go back to Earth. People are dying. We need fresh oxygen. We need the winds. The climate is changing. What are you doing? And he said, if you mistreat us and ill-treat my boy, this is what I'm going to do. He said, no, forgive me. And he brought all the other gods also and said, forgive us. So he said, Indra looked at Hanuman and said, I give you a boon. And your boon is that from now on, you will never get hurt by any weapon. So he gave him the boon. Now, one other god came and he said, I give you, Brahma, who is the supreme Godhead, he sits there and he says, Hanuman, I give you the boon that you can grow small or you can grow very, very large, just at your will, and you will live forever. Oh, Vayu's feeling very pleased. He says, this is turning out quite well, not quite. So, Hanuman started getting these boons, and another god came, Saraswati, the goddess, the beautiful goddess of learning and wisdom, said to Hanuman, you will be blessed with superior intelligence and intellect, and also wisdom. So now he's gathering up all of these. Hanuman is just wondering, like, what do these things even mean, And so they gather up all of these beautiful, beautiful gifts and boons. And then Vayu said, okay, Hanuman, come on, sit on my back. Let's go back to Earth. So they come back to Earth. And they're extremely happy. And, Anjana was like, the mother is like, where have you guys been? It's been forever. I've been gasping for air here, And then he said, I'll explain to you later. So they're all getting very comfortable, and Hanuman is up to mischief. So he goes, because that's who he is. He's very hyper, so he's got the diagnosis of ADHD with hyperactivity. And he's just running around and just disturbing everybody. Now the sages say, listen, he's got all these boons. He's very, very powerful. So what should we do? So the sages said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We will not snatch away his boons, because we can't. They've been given to him, they're God-given. But we'll make him forget that he has these powers. So we will take away the memory of these gifts that he has until a very special energy will come when he needs it and remind him that he has all those strengths and all those qualities and gifts, and he can do it. So, Hanuman then became an ordinary little monkey just running around. He was still mischievous, curious, but he couldn't fly. He couldn't do any of those things until later on in the story, and one day maybe you can read it for yourself. It's from the very beautiful epic called the Ramayana, where Lord Rama comes down and he has to help Lord Rama. So see this beautiful connection between the interchange that goes on between the gods and us, because we all have those qualities in us. We've just forgotten that we are a part of that beautiful universe and have those wonderful strengths until we connect with that spirit, and it reminds us that we can do whatever we want to do. This is also maintaining ethical principles. So it's not like, oh, I want to rob a bank and so I can do it, you know. So dharma is very important in the Vedic faith. So you do the righteous thing. And if you believe in that, and Hanuman is a metaphor for our intellect and our mind. So it's just swift, curious, strong, can do anything if you put your mind to it. So that's what I tell Leela and Vivas. If you focus, just like Hanuman, and you remain true and act on the path of dharma, you can do whatever you want to do and achieve that for the good of the people, and don't forget the planet. Thank you.
I'm so used to going to the center. Well, to take a minute to come down from that story. This is by Kenneth L. Patton. We arrive out of many singular rooms. We arrive out of many singular rooms, walking over the branching streets. We come to be assured that brothers and sisters surround us to restore their images on our eyes. We enlarge our voices in common, speaking and singing. We try again that solitude found in the midst of those who with us seek their hidden reckonings. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces, and their voices stir the surrounding air. The warmth of their hands assures us, and the gladness of our spoken names. This is the reason of cities, of homes, of assemblies in the houses of worship. It is good to be with one another.
It's time now for the offering. Our church is supported by your donations, and this month we'll share the plate with Wings of Hope.
Lakeside farm morning in the dawn's early light. The mimosa cloud is so bright. The lake is so still it reflects its delight, and it's clear. Stop for a moment to take in the sights. Hundreds of birds flush into flight, doing that for all of their life, and they hear you were meant to be here. 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 Well, the night will come and the daylight will, and the light sky will follow wherever it goes. The wind and the rain and the earth sing it so clear. You were meant to be here. You were meant to be here. Out in the desert, day's dying light. Mountains in the east, they're painted so bright. The granite's reflecting a purple delight, and it's clear. Dawn in the desert in the day's diamond light. Nocturnal critters are saying good night. They're doing that for all of their life, 'cause they hear you were meant to be here. 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 Well, the sunrise will come and the sunset will go. The night sky will follow wherever it goes. The wind and the rain and the earth sing it so clear. You were meant to be here. You were meant to be here. Up in the mountains above the low clouds, look to the west, that's the sun sinking down. Colors of purple and turquoise abound, and it's clear. Mountains at midnight look up to the sky. Never seen the Milky Way shining so bright. It's doing that for all of my life, and I hear you were meant to be here. 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 Well, the sunrise will come and the sunset will go. The night sky will follow wherever it goes. The wind and the rain and the earth sing it so clear. You were meant to be here. 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 We were meant to be here. We were meant to be here. We're all meant to be here. Put my house in order. It's hard for me to believe this is Memorial Day weekend. I guess it's coming early in the month, but it is. I've preached on Memorial Day in a number of different ways. I have preached the traditional Memorial Day sermon recognizing war dead. One year when I was at All Souls Unitarian in Tulsa, I was the disembodied voice from up in the back of the choir loft reading In Flanders Fields. And the congregation sang the Navy hymn, and it was a full-blown military recognizing Memorial Day service.
And that is certainly what Memorial Day is designed to be. Memorial Day is designed to recognize those who died in service of the country, who died while serving the country in war. Of course, it's gone broader than that. It was originally called Decoration Day right after the Civil War, when they were recognizing the people who died on both sides. But it was started by African Americans, recognizing the Union dead who'd fought to save them, to help them. I've even preached a sermon here a few years ago on Memorial Day, memorializing Tina Turner. That idea that it's worthwhile to go back and pull something up and put it in front of us and acknowledge it for what it is. I'm not going to say much more about military service right now, other than to say that I think these days when we look at Memorial Day services, you could say dying in service to the country is broader than just serving in the military. It's possible that the people who died in Minneapolis protesting were serving the country. It's possible that any number of African Americans who've died at the hand of police over the years, in recent years, died in service to something larger than themselves, something in service to the country. But I want to stop and ask, why do we acknowledge Memorial Day? Why do we hold these things to bring it up and hold it in front of us? I think it's because we don't really want to look at it. We don't want to remember that we are a martial country, that we are a military country. I was born in 1957, so just a few years after the Korean conflict ended, and on the verge of Vietnam. And from Vietnam, it was over in 75. I think it was in 82 that we invaded Grenada, and then Panama. Then by the time you get to about 1990, we go to the first Gulf War. Then we go back again in 2002. And if you look at our history as a country, we've scarcely been a decade here or a decade there without having a war. So why do we need to bring that forward? Is it because we need to motivate people to give their lives to the country? I don't know. But I want to go into why we do these things. And I've shared two songs with you this morning that point to me something I want to get at in this. So there's two ways to go through the world. One is, in my first song, it was the idea that I'm on a boat, I'm sailing, and I'm just going to go. The wind may blow 30 knots, it might blow half a knot. Sometimes it's going to twist around the compass rose, and I'm just going to go where I'm going to go. And that's one way to be in the world. And the second is the one I just sang. And those are from very specific moments in my life. The first part. A fall morning on the shores of Lake Murray. That was the lakeside. A still morning, no wind at all. And it was one of those times in the early morning when as the sun's beginning to rise in the east, it just picks up some of the red rays in one lone cloud floating overhead that had the most beautiful color. The best thing I can say, it's a mimosa cloud, like those little puffs that grow on mimosa trees before you have to pick them up out of your yard. But it was beautiful. It struck me. And it led me to thinking about the times that I've been in the woods, outside, in the early morning hours, and suddenly 100 birds flushed into flight because it was time for them to be awake. And those are specific memories. The second verse, I get into themes from the desert. Out in the desert in the day's dying light. Well, when I lived in Las Cruces, the mountains were in the east. And they were gray mountains. They were called the Organ Mountains. And they were literally just granite outcroppings shooting straight up like organ pipes. And the funny thing about that gray color is that at sunset in the west, they would pick up whatever color was in the sunset and project them onto the mountains. And I found that something to be truly transformative about. Also, living in the desert, you learn that most of the life doesn't come out in the daytime. They're nocturnal. But somehow their lives go on. And acknowledging that is a big piece of who I am. Finding where you can survive, where you can thrive, where you can do your thing the best is a driving force. Then my last 2 verses in that song were about being in the mountains. And that's specifically at Angel Fire. I had a friend who had a cabin up there he used to let me have. It was about a 9-bedroom cabin. So it was a tough place to hang out, I tell you. But I've got a picture somewhere in my phone of the sun setting in the west, facing that direction from the top of the mountain to the Angel Fire at 10,000 feet. And what I saw were those purple and turquoise colors that New Mexico's known for. And letting those colors in. And then the last part of it is the mountains at midnight look up to the sky. I had never seen the Milky Way look like that before. Being at 10,000 feet in an area that has restrictions on daylight, night skies, which I think night sky protection is fabulous, and I wish we could go there. I really do. But looking up and being just overwhelmed. Are those really the stars, or is that a cloud? And then you realize why it's called the Milky Way, because it looks like someone poured milk across the sky. So you can go both ways. You can either what I did in the first song, which is to get in the ship, get in the boat, get in the sailboat, and scoot along where the wind goes. I started off by noting that the west wind's a fair wind, north wind blows so cold, south wind brings the summer, east wind bears the storms. Because when the wind shifts to the east, that's when we usually get rains coming in. And you can do that. Or you can find one particular place and see what's inspirational about that and dig into it. And both of them are worth memorializing. Because to memorialize is to pull something forward that we need in our life. There's a term that you run into in theology, in Christian theology, and that's a sacramental term. A sacrament is an outward sign of an inward grace, an outward act of an inward truth. And there is that sacramental aspect to life that touches you on the inside, and you just have to show it somehow. It comes out. And that's what Memorial Day is. That's what holidays are to us. We're gathering these things in, these memories, to hold them dear, so they can inspire us, and they can fire us up, and they can lead us forward into the future, whatever the future may bring with it. We celebrate to be reminded. And it is good to be reminded that wars exist. That in my life, we really haven't known much time, probably you are all the same way, haven't known much time in our lives that did not have our country at war, when our servicemen were not in harm's way. And that's to be remembered. But if we only remember that, we miss it. We are always at war. In my first song, the sailboat's always moving on. One direction or the other, one season or the other, high wind, low wind, perfect wind. It's just moving. And I think that's what the military is to us today. It's just there. And as long as we don't hear about it, we're just fine. Yeah, we're not. I like not hearing about it, but I know we're not just fine. Or we can go through life picking up those moments that transformed us, that inspire us, that have the power to inspire us in the future. And we can live with those truths. The reading Shiitake provided for us from Ken Patton. Ken Patton was a Unitarian minister from the 1940s and 50s. He was well known for having a broader view of the world than most of his contemporaries did. Out of singular rooms we come. Across these branches we travel together. And that's what we do when we name these things in holidays, whether it's Memorial Day, whether it's 4th of July, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's Groundhog Day, whether it's Beltane, which was May 1st, or Lammas, which is coming up in August for the pagan holidays. We lift them up because they provide us the opportunity for something special, something that can transform our lives from simply going through it to fully being grounded and participating. And it is that moving from what is forever, that is our movement through life and time, that is constant, to being able to spot something and hold on to it and lift it up and look at it and know it and cherish it, to know what it means, how it feels, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it tastes like. That is the religious task. Coming out of our many singular rooms, we come together. And Ken Patton's last line of that reading was that it's good to be together. And with this, I'll close, because there's a short grace. I was told it's Paul Tillich, but I'm not sure if it was or not. But it's one of those you can have in your pocket. If somebody asks you to say grace at a dinner or something, you can use this one, because it's good for all kinds of occasions. It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is good to be here together. Join me. It is good to be.
It is good to be.
It is good to be here.
It is good to be here.
It is good to be here together.
It is good to be here together.
Amen.
Our next hymn is number 107, Now Sing We of the Brave of Old. Please stand if you're able.
I'll play the whole thing once, and then this is a new one. It's a new one deal. I'll play the whole thing once, and then we'll start.
be yours. May they greet you and you return their affection. May you share those blessings with the world. Find someone who doesn't expect a blessing and do something special for them today. Amen.
That concludes the recorded portion of the service. We'll continue with trail markers.